story. I personally preferred it when The Who played music rather than getting involved in gender politics, Dana, but they have things to say about how many sexes there are, is it, or the genders?
Yeah, so now, well, there's a difference between gender and sex. So now sex is not limited to being either male or female. So fury over the WHO, the World Health Organization's woke guidance. So, yeah, basically, a lot of people, experts called for a move of the dismissal of that are calling this a move of a dismissal of basic biology. So they're trying
to clarify, this is not the same thing as saying non-binary or I'm
so gender is usually a behavioral expression, right? How you wear your hair and your clothes and things like that. And sex is how you determine your actual
gametes, that sort of thing.
But DNA. Yes, and I think this is really interesting because we've talked about how you determine whether or not a man or woman is appropriate for whatever sports category. It used to be chromosomal checks, right? And now we'd have there's 6 common karyotypes, right? So that's X, double X, XXY, XY, XYY, XXXY, right? So these are 6 of the most common gender combinations. So, I mean, if a binary is to suggest that there are only 2, that would eliminate intersex people, which we know exist, even if they are a small minority.
No. Let's be very clear about this. The chromosomal thing there's a huge number of variants, but there is no chromosomal test that suggests this other than 2 sexes. There are males and females. And the point about intersex people is they don't want to be thrown under that bus. So you need to stop doing that because they are of a particular sex. The problem is the demonstration of the sex, in other words, their secondary sex characteristics are ambiguous. And their campaign is to say, we do not want to have enforced surgical choices made for us when we are young. We want to grow up and make a decision then based on our biology. Biology has a material basis, in fact, and it has a material basis in health. And
so you're saying every single person has a definitive male or female. What would you say Caster Semenya
There are 2 sexes. Well, of course there are ambiguities.
Well, what's Caster Semenya? You said there are 2 sexes, so which one is she?
What she has got is particular forms of chromosomal abnormalities.
But
yes.
What is she? Is she a man or a woman?
I haven't seen her medical records. The point about it is that basic biology is fundamental. Fundamental to the way in which health presents. So heart attack. If you have a heart attack, you present in a totally different way than if I have a heart attack.
What about somebody who has undescended testicles? But
there are going to be anomalies. I went out with a friend, a lover, years ago, who had 1.5 legs, and he says to me now, just because I have 1.5 legs doesn't mean to say the human race is not bipedal. The point is, fundamentally, there are 2 sexes. There may well be anomalies, but fundamentally, there are 2 sexes, and they are important. So the World Health Organization...
Can a binary exist with anomalies, though?
Yes, of course they can. And what is the World Health Organization going to do about female genital mutilation? Was it going to suddenly say, let's identify women, the girls out of that?
Is that excluded by saying, for instance, somebody like Caster Semenya is a third sex? Does that make it problematic to deal with female genital mutilation, or are you mainly battling with cultural problems?
I think one's battling with cultural problems and saying that there's a fundamental issue around where sex matters and where you have anomalies, we have to find sensible ways of dealing with them. The anomalies are a minute part of, and yes, you can have a binary with anomalies.
What do you think, Dana?
Well, I think what I'd like to know is, how do you determine this? And that's where the controversy is. Is it that I can see the actual genitalia? Is it the chromosomal makeup? Or is it how much testosterone you have, right?
OK.